I think like this. Well, no, it's just jazz. Wild yes mix. Is that a little? I think like this. Well, no, it's just jazz. Wild. Wild yes mix. Is that a little? I think like this. Well, no, it's just jazz. You won't count this one. I said it like this. I can't. Crazy. This takes so much time until this is now on my TV, you know? Crazy. How much time does it take, you know, to get me live, you know? It's a little bit crazy, yeah. Very nice. I think I see me and myself, and I start my recording for my life, and I hope I can control all the shit I've got on, you know. So here's my nice song, you know, World Truthers Foundation. Get on my PayPal. I have a lot of money to get, you know. So much money that I have to get. And I think I start with my second part, you know, second part of my. Very nice. It's so strange to see myself on YouTube. Very nice. I have to put it down a little bit, you know. And it's a doubler in the head, you know. It's a little bit strange, you know. So I think I start. I think maybe some people did already see my Arecibo, my part first of the Arecibo, and I really don't think it's such a strange idea that Ezekiel's wheel could be something that is here on Earth. I don't know if the aliens, you know, Eric Denning says there are aliens, ancient astronauts and stuff. But I guess the guessing that it's maybe something on Earth, you know, could be something true, you know. So um, I go on with my explanations why I think the Arecibo so-called telescope is maybe really this Ezekiel's wheels, this, you know, this, I think, Anunnaki ship that really, you know, collected all the gold, the golden hand of God, like you see in this picture. And, you know, it's for me easy because I can just click and my video hopefully starts. And the thing is that I really looked up for stuffs in the sky. You know, they all found things in the sky. This is the first one. Um, and they all depicted strange things they saw in the sky. But what could it be? The Bible tells about the bolts in the sky, the angels, they pour their bolts, and everything is destructed, and all these type of stories. And then I thought about, what else is, what else is in the sky? What objects and stuff, beside maybe UFOs or UAPs and alien and stuff. But what is in the sky? These ancient people, the Middle Ages, they all had some stories about things in the sky. And this is, for example, the Flying Dutchman ship. I think everybody just knows this Flying Dutchman. And, I thought about, um, what could this be? This Flying Dutchman, it's a ship in the sky. And, see here, this is, a little bit like ship in the sky. And, one thing I have to do my mouse. I forgot to put in my mouse so you can see. That's much better now. I hope I'm still in the position that the sound is good. Looks like everything's okay. Back to my video. This is the Flying Dutchman ship. And I thought about this could also maybe be something they see in the sky. Maybe it could be related to my Arecibo. Oh, strange things in the sky. And here's the flying ship. This is Bible depiction. They say, there are ships in the air and stuff. And again, like I said in my first, Arecibo is a hoax. My theory about this Anunnaki airship, the ships or the machines, they collected the gold. With them, they collected the gold. And this is Bible stuff. There's a ship, and why does ship fly? If something is flying, we can't explain it, and it doesn't look like an animal. It could be a ship, maybe. And again, like I said in my first Arecibo, there is always the hint for the type of construction these flying things have. And in this picture, for example, you have this decorative stuff with this pattern. And I don't know if people already have seen my first Arecibo. Maybe they come to me the first time and start seeing this live. Um, my theory is this machine you see here, the Arecibo telescope, is a flying airship of the Anunnakis. They had to collect the gold somehow that the humans, collected for them. The humans at several places, they dig in the ground, they collect the gold, and they make their offerings for the gods. And something must have collected this stuff. And I really have the theory that the Anunnakis, if they're a space race, they really had flying things. They don't walk from place to place, or they don't tell the people, come here, they are 1,000 miles away, and the Anunnakis say, okay, when you have enough gold, you walk here, and I wait here for 100,000 years, and maybe the gold comes here. I really think they had flying machines, And if you see this type of building, this how they built this type of construction, it's the same construction like all humans used in the last 200 years when they use steel or iron construction. It's like the Eiffel Tower, And this pattern, you all know the pattern of the Eiffel Tower, this one line, and then you have this, zigzag inside this construction type, And I really see in nearly all the depictions that the ancient people or the middle aged people, or I don't know what type of people, all these peoples that saw in the past something in the sky, they all have something of this type of construction. Sometimes decoration, sometimes the ship they saw in the sky is built like this, or the angels have some type of this bow you see here, this bow of the famous, Arecibo. And in all these depictions, I can see clearly somehow this construction, the Arecibo. And technically, what I think, how and what, I come to it back later. I just wanted to show you all why I think there are so many hints throughout history for this flying thing. The ship, for example. Again, the ship. Now you know why I think with this, this decoration, they could also symbolize the type of construction this flying thing had they saw in the sky. They couldn't understand, oh, this thing is flying, oh, I don't know. It's a ship, Doesn't look like an animal, it must be a ship. Or an angel of God or something like this. Here's the next one. This is also Bible times. When these saints, they travel to some mountains and they climb the mountains and they sit at the mountaintops and then the angels, the dove of God, these things occur. These things come to them, these flying things. And also in this depiction, you see it a little bit unclear. Maybe on your bigger screens at home you will see it better. But you see here again somehow a little bit depicted the type of construction that the Arecibo telescope has. You see here the bow. And if you again watch the Arecibo, I have to look a good picture. You see here the Arecibo has this bow, this curve in the construction. And if I look at this picture, you know, there is also this bow. So it was for me also a hint. Amen. There are so many things that have a little bit similarity. And it all have similarity to the Arecibo. This one is none like good depicted. It's just here you see a dragon flying in the sky. But again, it's a story about something that is flying in the sky. If you believe in dragons and you see something flying, oh, this could be only a dragon. If you believe in angels, and you see something flying around, okay, this can only be an angel. And if later the people just believed in technique and ships and stuff, when they see something in the sky and their world is shipping and ships and blah blah blah, you know, they say it's a ship in the sky. It must be something. Something is there, and the people explain it. If something is in the sky, and you surely know it's no bird, or it's too big construction that is flying around. Could be something else, and they always have an explanation for what they see in the sky. Whether it's a I don't know, it's a ship, it's a dragon, or what. And here again, this is an old depiction. This is the dove flying around, and this is the first connection to what I think it's collecting gold. You see, I don't know if this bird just pukes something in a bowl, or if there was gold in this bowl and the gold flies up. For me, it looks more like the bird, sucks up the gold, something like this. And you also see in this picture that he sends fire. I send fire to rain, you know? And I think if you don't deliver in the old days, when you don't deliver enough gold for the gods, and this machine doesn't got enough food, maybe to fly on, maybe it's got a program, if you fly there every 10 years to these places where the humans collect the gold for the Anunnakis, and the ship is for sure a little computer mechanized flying object. It has to be programmed, this much gold, from every place at least. And if this thing, this, I think it's a being. It's really strange. I really think mechanics can be alive. It's really strange. So I don't say this thing or this. This ship, though ship, it's maybe also not a good word. Um, the Arecibo. Just from my theory, the Arecibo has a program. This flying ship from the Anunnakis that is flying around and is collecting all the gold. Um, if the Arecibo comes to a place, there has to be gold to be given to the gods. The Arecibo flies in with a certain type of technique. The Arecibo, collects the gold. And if the Arecibo doesn't get enough gold, the Arecibo always thinks, from the program, The people have to do as much as they can in this 10 years. They have to dig as much, dirt as they can, and they have to, they have to collect as much as possible. So the Arecibo always, the program always thinks the humans do the best they can for the gods. And if there is not enough gold anymore, if this place, if this place is mined, the amount of gold that 10 years later the Arecibo can collect gets smaller and smaller. And I really think the logic is, if this place is mined, it doesn't give out so much gold anymore. If this machine comes to collect and it doesn't get gold, it doesn't it wasn't programmed to think the people are lazy and they don't get the gold out of the ground. The program is, okay, this place is mined, get the people to move to another place and dig up the gold somewhere else. So I don't think it's a punishment from this godly machine if you don't bring enough gold and this machine, like you see here, sends fire to rain and destroys this place. It was just, in the logic of the gods, it's just okay, this place is mined, the machine destroys the ground, makes it like nature again. So this place is like, when the people go, this place will be nature again because nature is holy. And the people walk on and go to the next place and dig there. So if the god machines destroys a place, it's not against the people. It's just from the program, from the logic. Okay, this place is done. Give it back to nature. Destroy all that humans made, and the people walk on. Protected by by the gods and angels. So it's very strange to always think the gods were bad. They were here with a purpose. And I really have to a little bit smoke from time to time, tobacco, because I'm so addicted. And this is also, this is um, this is the Asian myth. And there's also a hint to the Arecibo. If you see this, this is a god flying in the sky, and he has the spear. This is so truly the form of the Arecibo with its antenna. You know, So let's watch a picture of the Arecibo. You know, it's this antenna in front of the Arecibo that is truly shown like a spear of a god. The god. This is the god. What else could fly in the sky? It's gods look different than humans. So this is the god flying in the sky, and he has the spear, and this is this antenna that he picked it. Later, I think if they have the priest that gives the gold to the special place where the angels come and collect the gold, I think these people maybe had a technical device because all the old, the gods, this Poseidon and all these blah blah blah, they had the sticks, these strange sticks. Rather, it's a symbol for this, for the antenna, for the spear of God, or it was a technical device that they could connect to this flying thing with a special type of stick, special technical stick. And so this thing doesn't destroy this man that is too near at the holy place. Maybe it's an insignia or something like this, or it's just a representation for the spear of the flying god. I'm not really sure, like this or like this. At the moment, I think more it's a technical device that these priests that stand on the ground when the angel collects the gold that they had. So they are safe, from this machine. Because this machine, it protects the gold. Because this gold is the only purpose for the machine to exist. It has to collect gold. It's very strange. And the Arecibo, it's such a beautiful machine, they destroyed it. I tell it again, I told it in my first, live and my first video about the Arecibo. It's really a fantastic machine. And like I said, why these magic sticks from the gods and the priests? Is it this, antenna they show? And here's the god, this is, I think, a Roman god or a Greek god. Here is the god, with his famous stick in his hand. And is it just a representation of the flying angel with the spear? Or maybe it's a technical device to be the chosen one to not be killed by the machine. You know? I don't know exactly, but it's interesting. And I have to look. Maybe there are some people already in the chat. I think no one will ever get in my chat. No one there. So I can talk on, I can do my thing, you know. And this was also strange. It's I if I remember it correct, it's a Celtic symbol. And what I thought is like, if this is Odin, maybe this representation for Odin, this bow, you know, it's again for me, you know, the Arecibo is built in this bow. If I see this, you know, it's like construction, you know. So this could be the representation of the type of construction type the Arecibo has. And maybe if he shows like, you know, Odin also through thunder, maybe the technique of the Arecibo when it destroys ground is like, you know, shooting thunder and stuff, you know, or like lightning. Lightning, no thunder, lightning, you know. Maybe also sound, you know, like this thing roars, you know, if it flies in, roar. Everybody knows that, you know, the angel did come. We got to collect the gold, bring the gold to the, you know, to the temple priest, you know, or this thing will destroy everything. You know, it's always better be good working, you know. I'm a working class man, so I know that good workers hopefully maybe get, you know, handled and that they do good to good workers, you know, but it's not always like this, sadly. And this is also, you know, so many explanations for the same thing. And, you know, Solomon's symbol or his seal, you know, it's also representation, I think, for the gods machine, you know, for the Arecibo. And you have here the bow, and you have a little bit like this construction stuff and stuff's going on. And I don't know what the rest of this is. Maybe this is a little bit time dating when this thing comes every 3 moons or something like this, or every 3 years when it's full moon or something like this. I don't know, but this is the seal of Solomon. And there are stories that he, you know, he built this temple with the help of, I don't know. They have the Shamia, it's these worm that, you know, fires like laser rays and you can cut stones. Maybe the Arecibo was also, because they always think holistic, maybe it's also usable for construction. You know, if you have the flying thing and this is anti-gravitable, you know, you can hang a 1,000-ton stone under the Arecibo and it still can live. It would be holistic to use these flying things you create also for building and, you know, holistic use. If you have a flying machine and you want to build something, you know, you wouldn't say, oh, I built the flying machine to collect gold, so I have to build another machine. They would use the same machine, you know. It's more logic, not stupid like humans, you know. So I think really Solomon's mine also seal also depicted or depicts this, you know, the Arecibo. And then I thought about all these, you know, the Egyptians, they have always the chariot, you know, of gods, you know. And I also had wanted to talk about in this old video a little bit about all these chariots and all these flying things of the gods. You know, maybe also some hints for the Arecibo, even if I have for one of the chariots very simple explanation. And this could be also maybe the Arecibo, you know? You have here the depiction of the wheel, that could be the bowl under the Arecibo. And here you have a little bit like the bow, you know, he also had the bowl. And, you know, with the birds and stuff, it's maybe depicting that it's flying. And, you know, you have the shooting stuff and all these things could be maybe also representation for the Arecibo. But you know, with this type of stuff of chariots, I'm not so sure, because you know there are these. This is so crazy. The flying carpet. You know, I really have this theory. It's like Alexandra Grabenikov. You know, I saw a little bit the videos about him some days ago, so I remember his name now. Alexander Grabenikov. You know, is a very famous scientist from Russia, and he really did found out that you can levitate with buck wings. Look it up in the internet. It's very interesting. And I really have the theory that they built the pyramids with the flying carpets. And it's so simple to use these buck wings in general. Alexander Grabenikov, he made a little apparatus. He had one layer of buck wings, and the trick is if you have one buck wing and you put another buck wing over it, the second buck wing levitates. I can explain why the second buck wing would levitate, and I explain it maybe later. Otherwise, I would lose my thread. I always lose my thread. I tell something, I find some topic in my telling, and I tell about this topic in the middle of a sentence, and then I forget what I wanted to talk. But it's so nice if you have your videos, you have always the thread. And I really think it's so easy. If you have the knowledge, and I hope the people that in 100 years maybe will see my video, my life, um, that they will have the knowledge about Krabenikov because it's so a little bit like it takes so much energy to talk about Krabenikov now. Just a simple explanation. You can levitate with buck wings. It's just one layer of one buck wing, and you put another buck wing over it, and you know the second buck wing levitates. And the same concept, you have one layer of buck wings on a carpet. You have a little board, or a little box, big box, like say big box, the size of the carpet. And you put one layer of buck wings, and then you close this box, and you put on top of the box another box that you can a little bit slide with the mechanic, a little bit turn to the left or to the right. If you do it very exactly, the buck wings, in rows, um, with the second box, if you mechanically overlay it over the first box, these two boxes, if they are good connected, would levitate. And if you surround this all with carpet, you have a flying carpet, you know. And the technique is for sure possible. They really can show that these type of constructions they work. Damn, I didn't want to put it there. It's sometimes strange that my body sometimes does things, by the order of people around me. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, people. Got connected and you now can, manipulate me again. So funny that I talk about the stuff that I'm really bothered by people mentally. I talk about this live now. What the fuck, I don't care for that. And this is really the technique of the flying carpet. You have the sparkling layers. You got to put them exactly in a row, and you have a second sparkling layer. And with the mechanic, you can exactly overlay this rows, and then this thing levitates. Look up Grabenikov, Alexander Grabenikov. He has the small version of this technique that I say are the flying carpets. And then it would be so easy. You just have to have a big stone, dig under the stone, put the flying carpet under it. And, if the stone is on the flying carpet, you just switch the mechanic and the whole thing levitates. And I really guess this is how they built the pyramids. It would be so easy. And it would explain why the scarab wings are very usable for this anti-gravity stuff. Why they had the scarab holy. And maybe it's a universal knowledge because I can explain why the buckwings had these properties. My theory is that gravity is just the balancing of vibrations in the ether. If in the ether there is an object that is less vibrating, gravity tries to send the objects that are more vibrating to this less vibrating object in the ether, and so hopefully the vibrations are balanced. And because chitin is such a stiff material, I really think it's a material that is very less vibrating. And if you are on earth and the earth core is on a certain vibration, and the buck wings they are so stiff that they are half the vibration, you know if you put them over another, you have so less vibration in this buck that it levitates. It's a little bit difficult if I just explain it simply at the moment, but this is the concept because the buck wings, the structure, of the molecules inside the chitin are so stiff, this material itself is very less vibrating, very less vibrating. And because there are so many stories about bugs in the universe, chitin looks to be something that is universal, maybe. Maybe the Anunnakis already deduced this, the buckwing anti-gravity. Maybe they grew like artificial chitin and stuff. And because I really have the theory that the Anunnakis build ships when they have molten glass, metal, crystal, and stuff, and then if it if the molten stuff, it hardens. This hardened form is then the complete chip in one guss. How do you say it? In one attempt. It's like making a bell. You have the molten metal, one pour, and then the product is ready when it's hardened. And the same type of construction they do with the ships. And at the moment, I really start to think about if one of the component is something like chitin. It's like artificial chitin, metal, glass, crystal for chips, maybe. Would be strange, This is very interesting. Sometimes when I talk about things, I found out new stuff even just by talking about it, very interesting. And this is something I already said in the Arecibo video. Hmm, one moment. This is Thor. Thor. And he also has this flying chariot. He also is flying around all the time and stuff. And I have to check my photo viewer if everything is okay at the moment. Or maybe my life. It looks good. Um, Odin also flies around. And in the depiction, in old depictions like this depiction, I don't know from which time this depiction would be. In this depiction, you would have also, for me, a little bit the hints for this type of construction that the Arecibo has, with this part. You also have a little bit the hint for the Arecibo. So there's one more, I think, Arecibo depiction. And this is also, these are the Indians. The Indian gods also had these flying chariots and stuff. I don't know, maybe it's also a little bit this depiction. He has here the bowl, there's the round thing you see. If the Arecibo flies over you, you would see the bowl like a wheel. This is also something. The wheels and the wheels and the wheels from Ezekiel. I really think the Arecibo is Ezekiel's wheels. And if you see the old or the old pictures or photographs from the Arecibo from below, in the bowl, in this big bowl you have from the Arecibo, I will show it. This big bowl, it has bowls inside, and inside the bowl, in here, is a bowl. So if you look from below at this thing, it's a round thing. And what is a round thing? It's a wheel. And inside this round thing, there is another wheel, another bowl. But if you look to it from below, you would see just this round thing and this round thing. And in this round thing, there is another round thing. So I really think if Ezekiel tells about wheels within the wheels in the wheels, he was talking about this bowl because he was below, when this thing landed, he was on the ground, he looked up and he just saw, you know, this big bowl from below, and he just thought, oh, this round thing can only be wheels and the wheels and the wheels. It's just these bowls in this big bowl. You really have to look it up. I can look it up maybe also if I take a look at this Arecibo. The Arecibo. I think it was a living machine. They always had a little bit, living in them, and it's strange. The Koreans, they really believe everything is living. Everything. So I think the Arecibo, I really can say it's a name. Maybe it's the original name that they found. The real name of this given by the Anunnakis is the Arecibo. Maybe, this would be so strange because, I have a feeling for this machine. When I say Arecibo, it resonates in me to be the correct word for this flying machine. It's so strange, you know. Arecibo, you know, this telescope is, damn it, you know, they destroyed very important machine, you know, the Arecibo. And I really hope that I can find this. When I looked it up the first time, I really looked it up for hours, you know, all this stuff, you know, all this Puerto Rico, and you know, I maybe find it again, and I don't know how I did search for it, you know. Where was this, you know? I think it was on the site of Arecibo. You know, the Arecibo page, they show a lot, you know. Maybe it was the homepage. Somewhere I did found, you know, that the Arecibo, that this big bowl at the end of the Arecibo really had, you know, another bowl inside it. And it's, I don't know what it is, you know. Normally, I think the Anunnakis used it like a weapon, you know, like a microwave weapon or stuff like this. And I really think I wouldn't find this so fast that, you know, I don't get nerfed by myself, you know. Maybe just look a little bit at the Arecibo lab, optical lab. It's also interesting, though. These optics, you know, what did they use this optics for? No, is this original Anunnaki? You know, this is in my head. If I see then stuff, when I think the whole thing is built by Anunnakis, I start thinking about everything over there. You know, if you look at this, is this Anunnaki technique? Possibly, maybe. Is this building an old Anunnaki building? Possibly, maybe, you know. Stuff like this. It's very strange. And I think I wouldn't find the pictures of the bolts and the bolts and the bowl, the wheels within the wheels in the wheels. No, I have to look it up for later videos. You know, I think I have a good, I have so much, you know, so much content just around this Arecibo, you know. So interesting. You know, this stuff here, you know, there are bolts in this, bolts in the bowl in the bowl. So strange, you know. I talk about it when I find it, you know. Hopefully we'll ever find it again, you know. Sometimes it's, you'll find things one time in your life and you never see them again sometimes. So strange, you know. And what was the next? Yeah, this one. You know, this is one of these Egyptian chariots. And I really think, you know, go back to this one. I really think this is disassembled. Dang it, you know, I have to stop it. You know, this one is disassembled. And if you take the same logic like you have with the buck wings from the buck wing levitation from Alexander Grabenikov, um, you could make a chariot fly. You just need two shields. You have nice layers, and there are these famous shields from the chariots, you know. You just take this shields, you put two layers of buck wings, and you just overlay the shield and put it under this chariot, and the chariot would levitate and fly, you know. Really, it's just fucking simple if you have the data that buck wings can levitate. You can think about a lot of stuff that the ancient did when they flew just with the buck wings, you know. It's also like the witches, you know. If the witches, the old stories that the witches used the legs of flies, the wings of flies, and then they make a powder, and then they put the powder on their flying brooms, and then they fly away, you know, with the knowledge of levitating buck wings. You could really think about, hey, did the girls, you know, really flew around with their brooms? You know, if you have enough buck wings and overlay it, and maybe in your big coat that the witches that wear this big coats, you know, you have also a buck wing layer, and then you put your big coat over your broom. You have two buck wing layers, and you start levitating, you know, and you can fly your broom. Maybe it's like this, you know. And I sometimes really think I don't want to tell, you know, important knowledge to everyone because, you know, maybe now the people can make flying brooms again and fly around like stupid, you know? Would be funny. But the technique is possible like this. So strange, you know? Try it out, you know? I don't have enough buck wings because I don't want to kill the bugs. And I really think you shouldn't go out there in the nature and kill the bugs just to collect buck wings. But I think this technique, if you have maybe the, you know, the saws, There are, I don't know, when the winter comes, maybe you can find a lot of bugs that are dead and stuff and collect the wings and make it to a powder, put it on your coat and, put some on the broom and maybe you will lift, maybe you will fly. Be careful, people, when you really find something to fly. And this is also, again, just one of these flying chariots. Very strange, yeah. Father Christmas, he's flying around. Why is he flying around? Maybe, I don't know. Was just another object in the sky. This is the video Arecibo. And the Arecibo, I can tell you a little bit more maybe about the Arecibo, or I just can, look about all this stuff that I have on at the moment. This is also interesting for the Arecibo. Why I think that the Nazca lines could really, program the Arecibo. Watch my first video. Arecibo is a hoax. You get a lot of informations. Maybe you don't understand it at the moment. Maybe I just explain it. If you have a flying machine and you are an Anunnaki, you don't want to sit all your life in this flying machine to fly from place to place and collect the gold the humans did collect for you and fly home because time is money, like this. Time is important. If I'm a god, I don't want to spend my all my life just flying a recibo around and collect the gold. So I think it's really logic that these things have programs. And I really had the opinion. I have the opinion. Um, if they build stuff, they don't build it for one day. They don't build this flying things to fly around and collect this gold for the gods. They don't build them so in 10 years, like today, when they build washing machines, you buy the washing machine and you can be sure in 10 years the thing is done, because they want you to buy a new washing machine. Like the old days, when they build stuff, they make them to last forever if possible. And so I think this thing is very simple mechanic. The programming of this thing must be very simple, so nothing can be damaged by I don't know what. Maybe if this thing flies around, and a bird doesn't seize this thing, and full on flies into the receiver when it's flying. If you have stupid technique inside, this bird may break something in the receiver, and the receiver will crash. So I think they built this stuff like nothing can happen to it. And I think you have to build very simple, very basic logic, mechanics, and programming, computer stuff. We have something everlasting, nearly like this. And so I think the Arecibo has a type of program to fly around. Like I said, there's nobody sitting and flying this thing. This thing is mechanized, flies from itself. And I thought about, how could you build this programming or this mechanic inside the Arecibo, you know, to last? And it should be simple. You can't have if these things really fly around all over the world. There's not only just one place. They fly from place to place. Like if there are really like more of these, like in the Bible, there are 7 bowls. If you have this thing and there are 7 others, you could think about how many miles, how many places these things fly to collect the gold. Divide the world in 7 parts, and you will see how much land each one of these machines had to fly on and collect the gold. And because there are so many destinations and stuff, I really guess, now I guess even more, I guess this programming, it can't be all on the ship. You can't have like 10 or 20 or 30 programs for each place on the ship, on the flying Arecibo, and just mechanically put the next map inside this computer, the next program and stuff. I think there's too much possibility for faults. Maybe when the next map had to be put in mechanically, there's the bird and flies inside this machine, and the next map couldn't be put inside the computer, and this thing crashes, you know? So I think on board, there's a very simple, basic program for flying itself and for directing this stuff. So you have like an autopilot that is flying, you know, and it just have programming on the ship. It's like you can fly left, right, up and down and stuff. This would be the basic programming, and it just need to have a little sense for the world. And I really did come up in the video that I did yesterday. I was so nerved by my neighbors that I forgot to put on record, you know, that I didn't click record. So I lost this one. But in this video, I thought about this. How could this thing fly, and what could this program, or how could this flying installation, the control installation on the receiver would look like? And you know, yesterday I thought about it. If you have a globe, you know, a simple globe, and you would have a needle like with the gramophone, you know, the old record players, you know, the thing turns around and you put the needle on it and this thing does something. If you have the same concept, you have a little globe. I really thought about this. You have a globe and then you have a needle like a gramophone, and the globe just turns, you know. Um, it would have a basic knowledge about positioning, you know. And then strangely, when I did thought this, I remembered, you know, hey, there is this strange thing, and I did show it in my first Arecibo. There is this strange globe they put on display at the Arecibo, really like this, and I hope I have it in my video. Strange stuff from the Arecibo. I have it in this one, I think. You know, I especially collected my some of my pictures from the Arecibo, and one of my this one's. And so strange, I really thought, okay, this could be the globe they used for this basic programming for positioning the Arecibo on the globe. And it's really funny, I really found the first globe of it. And I have to look at my desktop, my channel use. Oh, it's on this one, or maybe this one. Oh, not on this one, Yeah, you see here, if you use this globe, and this is just a art installation at the Arecibo, if you would have this globe, and I could think there are maybe just some scratching on it, just some simple basic informations about positioning on the globe. Um, there must be a device that constantly reads this globe on board of the Arecibo. And then I have a really interesting fact. There are strangely in Asia, especially in Japan, there are really old silver metal mirrors. These are the mirrors of the emperors, very important. This is holy mirrors from the Asians. And there is a pair, or there are mirrors um, that depict the world, a very good one of my teachers, I would say, one of my son, Hayashi-san, Mr. Hayashi-san. He talks about this, and I just can give you all the device advice. Watch Mr. Hayashi. He has infos you shouldn't miss in life. And he once, I have a lot of stories from this. I heard it once. He once told about that the Emperor of Japan has a very important silver metal mirror, and he did show the pictures of this mirror. And it's so strange, I have to take a little zip. The mirror, this very famous mirror of Asia, it has a engraving, a depiction of the area, you know. And I really guess that this depiction of the area could be used on this globe. If you have a simple mechanic, And if the Arecibo gets from the basic programming, okay, here's the place I am. Maybe there's a little mechanic that puts this mirror, this metal mirror with the depiction of the world on the globe, and then the reading device, the needle from the gramophone, can read this. It's not like very exactly on the ground, but it could read this simple but very exact. These things are so exact from up above. The mirror depiction of the earth, of this part of the world, is so exactly that they must have been from in the air to have this, map. And if you just put this map on the globe, you could read this part of the earth a little bit more perfect, or a little bit more concrete, or what is say? I really get interrupted in my head from the people. Crazy. You really could have a little bit like more correctly, it's more exactly than just this globe. But you can't have all the maps from for all the places on board. This is really what I think. And then, things like the Nazca lines come into place. And I really think like this. If you have this thing flying around, it has the basic information where it is, it has these plates, where it is at a certain, place of the world. And then if you have the Nazca lines, for example, this thing flies into a special part of the world. It has the basic information for this part of the world because it has a little map of it on board that is readable, like a gramophone. And if this thing then lowers towards the ground, I think you couldn't have all these datas if it's flying low and it has to be, positioned, and it has to fly to a certain place on Earth. You couldn't have all these informations on an Arecibo, on these flying things, because then you have the problem that maybe you have faults in reading. It's too exact, it's too detailed, all this stuff. And I really don't think they have the perfect detailed map on these flying things and programs on board, so they can really, they lower down to 200 feet up above, in the air, and then they have to direct, and then they have to fly to these places where they exactly where they try to collect the gold, these machines. Then these things on the ground come into place. And if you think about the Nazca lines, and I really just take one Nazca line explanation, and you would see my logic in this. If you just take the Nazca lines, and you think about, the Arecibo, this flying thing from the gods, just has the basic information. Okay, here I am, and blah blah blah. It needs flight assistance. And if you then just take a look at some Nazca lines, I try to find a good one. This is also all Google shit sometimes. If you then take some of these strips on the ground, if you fly over this and you have a little camera, small device, maybe just a little bit dark and light detecting shit and something, just simple camera on board. It's like a sensor, light sensor, or something like this. Very simple, basic. Nothing can fly in the lens, that it breaks, and all this stuff. You could be position it, positioning. You could positioning your flying thing with programs on the ground, you know. And then there are these famous things. You have these things, these landing strips. Eric Deniken calls them, they're landing pads for the, I don't know, the gods. This is just a simple programming that these flying things need to get positioned, and then they fly on. You lower, because from your um, simple maps, or from your maps, where you are, and the Arecibo then has this, the order from the programs. Okay, lower, and it lowers, and then it comes to this things on the ground, And mostly these lines are very wide and then they narrow these lines, you know. Um, these things would then program or be programmed for the flying thing to direct it to the next place. And it's strange, you know, if you know Mr. Hayashi, and I maybe put down his stuff now later. If you know Mr. Hayashi, he, you know, he calculated all the Nazca lines and all the Nazca lines. Every Nazca line is related to somewhere on Earth, you know, for sure. Mr. Hayashi shows it. I show Mr. Hayashi now, you know, it's a good sensei, you know. And I hope I sometimes can help him too with my knowledge, you know. Maybe we are senseis from for each other, you know. This would be so it would be an honor for me, you know. So Mr. Hayashi, oops, Mr. Hayashi, and I don't think maybe you're not worthy to see him. Sorry, you know, Mr. Hayashi. Oh, I wrote it wrong. I have to look at my stuff over here, you know. I have all the videos. If he comes up with a new video, I always see them. Yeah, Gwen answered you. Also so cute, you know. And I'm really interested in these figures. You know, the manga figures. I have to start my collection. I already started to give my little son presents, these manga pictures. You know, this is Karen, you know. Samfu, you know, all go to Samfu, Sun and Moon family. Karen, you know. I really have to look at this, I guess, you know, because this is exactly the information, you know, how this thing is programmed and how this thing is flying to the next places, you know, because all the Nazca lines are related to all over the world places. It's so strange. And he comes up with videos every day with two videos, over 8,000 videos. But, you know, I have to tell you, it's nearly all in Japanese. And I can't speak Japanese. And Mr. Yashi is so nice that he has a little part always in his video where he talks English so you could understand it. And then there's 1 hour only Japanese talking. And I really have to learn Japanese. You know, I would like to have all the information to give out. And he really has this Nazca lines correlations all over the world. You know, he calculate them. It's Mr. Yashi. It's one of the best ever. You know, Mr. Yashi. Oh, stupid. So Mr. Hayashi, it's crazy, you know. There are thousands of videos, thousands of them, you know, billions of his videos. I don't know, always, no, 4,000. You know, it's just his series of 4,000, and he is already on 10,000 videos, and every video is 1 hour, you know. And if you damn don't have a have a screen that is too sensitive, you could really watch it up. Strange, you know. It's so funny if you always make the same fault because you got an order to make a funny fault, you know. So nice how I'm controllable, you know. So funny, and I think people will have a laugh when they see this now, these people that manipulate me all the time. But you know, it's so funny. It's so funny. We have a little fun, you know. And I really think I'm telepathic. Really think I have really telepathic stuff, you know. And I really think, you know, strange, hello world. I can see sometimes the future. It's so strange. You know, I had one day, I had really strange day. I was without smoking. You know, I'm a really heavy smoker. It's a lot. You know, it's a habit that you shouldn't do. But I started my smoking career very early, and I tell everybody, stop smoking, never start smoking. You know? And weed, you better eat the weed. Um, this one day I was walking around and I had no cigarettes, no tobacco. And normally I really like to take long walks. I sometimes take walks for a whole day. I take a walk, and at night I come back at home and I feel good that I did walk all the day, to see important stuff and interesting stuff in the world. And it was really like this. At this one day, damn it, my my fingers are too unsensitive for my so sensitive screen. And Mr. Ayashi. I maybe do it like this. I can find his videos for Nazca lines. I really have to find his videos for Nazca lines. So it's so interesting. So here was Hayashi Nazca. You see thousands of videos now, crazy. And this is Mr. Yashi on the Nazca lines, and he really can calculate every Nazca line to a certain time of it. Uluru, the red mountain
Hello,
on,
this is Hiroshi Hayashi, Hamama City, Japan.
you know, and he really has this, everywhere you can calculate all the lines on Nazca, this is what he does. He calculates the lines on Nazca, he extends it all over the globe. And if you take these lines from Nazca and extend them on the globe, you will come to places. And my explanation is it is programming the machines. If this thing flies over the ocean, it has the general direction from this inside mechanic on board. It does know it's on the planet, and then it flies there, line to East Island. So this thing, when it flies in, it's very wide path. Here, this one is a wide path. It flies in here. There's no much fault of missing this because it's very wide. And then it's got directed better, better, better. It's more exactly, you know, and it flies straight to East Island. Oh, it takes this one because it comes from here, it comes to this direction, and it has the program that it has to react to this line on the ground, and it flies off directly, exactly to Giza. So I think this is very, really how the second programming of the Arecibo flying thing works, It flies around, it collects the gold, it couldn't have all the data on board because if you have too much data in a system, it could, fail. So it's really basic, simple technique, simple mechanic, computer technique with a little, device that can film the ground for the lines, and then you put the lines at the one place on Earth that it's very unchangeable, and it's really like this. The Nazca region, you put these lines on the ground, and they will stay on for the next 2 million years, maybe. If something really strange happens. Negative zip. It's really interesting. If you take a look for the Nazca line theory from Mr. Yashi, you will see it's connected to everywhere. And this stuff, it's all programming of the Recibo is what I guess, And you have all important places in the Nazca lines. All them, Stonehenge, everything is on the Nazca line. Mr. Yashi tells so, Very good tip, Mr. Yashi. Thanks a lot. Without your data, I would have failed my test of, explaining the world, maybe. Good data, very good data. So the Arecibo, very interesting that we have the Arecibo. One is watching. It's maybe me that's watching. It's so funny. One person is watching and it's me. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit like the tone is a little bit low. You have to listen a little bit, but it's very interesting. So we have the Arecibo, and I have to look up more data that I have for the Arecibo. Maybe it's somewhere here that I have Anunnaki airlifter, this is also so strange. I don't know if someone ever heard about the dragonfly stuff, dragonfly drones. And if I see this, this is one of these strange dragonfly drones they did saw or they did capture. If I see this technique, with this, it's like a little basket and this stuff up there and all stuff, Um, I don't know, if this is Anunnaki technique. Or I don't know, maybe it's from another race, And this is strange, with this type of things, they have such strange programming. If you see the symbols on this, you have the same symbols in crop circles, and they say it's self-programming celestial programs. It's very strange, this topic is so strange. And I'm not so sure that it's maybe Anunnaki. I think it's too complex, too sensitive technique maybe. Because Anunnaki is really built like, they built that it's solid, Because, this is also the explanation why they built like this, everlasting. I really had the theory that the Anunnakis are a self-breeding female race, and the theory from the scientists is if we have only females in a race and they are self-breeding, like some lizards on Earth are self-breeding, there are no males inside the species, only females, um, they evolve over a long, long time. It takes much more time to mutate to new stuffs. If you have just the cells always be recreated in one being, if you have the genders, the male and the female, they mix up, there's the mutation rate is much higher, and so the species itself is very more fast, much faster evolving into something than these only female self-breeding species. But if you see it like cultural, it's also a fact that these self-breeding species, the societies are more stable, they survive for much more longer times than this races do when they have gender. And we see it on Earth, we have a gender war, the men, you really conquered the world of the girls, and they slaved them. 100 years before ago, women were not allowed to vote. And now they tell them you can vote, you can be a bitch. So it's still all this, still slavery, but you know, strange. I don't want to talk about this. I go mad with this topic. Um, but if you have a self-breeding race that is only female and they really live on the planet for 10 billion years in one society, or 2 million years just, if they evolve to technical and all this stuff, they don't build for, use and throw away. They build to last, because they know the society in 10,000 years, if they build good, can still use this machine they built. So they would build like it would last for 10,000 years, for example. And because of this, I think the technique is very reliable. It's very indestructible nearly. If no stupid person comes and breaks stuff, this thing wouldn't be broken from itself. I think like this. Maybe it got hit by a thunderstrike and that's why it was already damaged when they found the structure. But as I said in my first Arecibo video, um, all ages, the Egyptians, the Middle Ages, the Romans, all the ages did visited the Puerto Rico island, and they all did know about this is the Ezekiel's wheel, the hand of God. This is, you know, they all did come there, and you can clearly see it. If you watch the pictures from the cathedral, really like strange. I can put the pictures on later. I have them in one video. This is so strange. I have much better video for my theory because I already had this ones traces. And here you see this. It's strange. I have to find it. The cathedral, you see at the cathedral, you really see that all the ages that come there and build their small temples. The Arecibo, Puerto Rico. This is this. This is the church. And if you take a look at pictures from this church, you really see it has several building stages. And it's really like this. You have a small basilica here, and then later the big, you see here, this one, it's really Roman style. And you also have like parts that look like an Egyptian temple. And then later they come and they build another building on it. And then they come and build another building on it. And in the end, they say, oh, it's one building. There never were several buildings. And, this building just has several building styles because they want to remember how the Romans built and how the Egyptians built or stuff. Or it's like heroism, historicalism, that they build stuff now like the Egyptians did build. Maybe the Egyptians were here and did build this. And I really think this building is the cathedral. This is the place where all ages, the Egyptians, the Romans, all ages, when they found the knowledge about this place, Puerto Rico, the island of the gods, the second one, but this is the working station. The real island looks to be like Japan. to be honest, the real island of the god. And you will see this if you watch a little bit Mr. Yashi. He proves that the island of Japan is the island of the gods. And Arecibo is an important place because it's the base for the Arecibo. Puerto Rico is very important because it's the base of Arecibo. And it's an important machine. They used it, I think, also for construction, and for sure it's built to collect gold. And maybe I have enough time today. It's like 9 o'clock in Germany, so I can talk on long time until I have to go to bed to work tomorrow. And one thing, no, I really don't want, because I don't want to be a role model for younger to start smoking. Because I know I have a little bit earlier end than I would have without smoking. You know, so and this is this cathedral where I clearly see different ages, the Egyptians, the Romans, and so on. This is Puerto Rico, a place of the gods. And it has truly a world fair character. If you know the stories about the world fairs, that they all were illuminated, they all had the special lights going on, and they were in the white cities and stuff. You know, this is a white city with these strange World Fair lights. For me, it has a little bit the touch of a World Fair. Small one, little small one, but it has all the parts of the World Fairs. And I have so much theories what the World Fairs are. You know, it has this water, it has the lights, and all this stuff. So I really think Puerto Rico itself has much more history and much more stuff than we ever did thought. And it's strange. It's like autodidactic Campbell. He already made some videos about about Puerto Rico. That's also very important, very good stuff that he researched. He did more look for the star forts and stuff. And interesting. Star forts there are also very, very interesting. And this is, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, the old buildings. And if we have a little bit the Tartarian theories, so-called Tartaria, and we think a little bit about the structures of the cities and all this stuff, they didn't already take down this complete installation of someone on this island. They still use a lot of stuff, but they damaged a lot. But we still see the traces on Puerto Rico, that it's also an old city, World Fair character, like this. And you really see buildings like this, it's strange, the island, it's very old island. All ages that come there, all ages that built there. And this is how it did look. This is these old photos. It's a mud flutter also. And this installation is so strange. I have to look it up again, what they say at the moment, what this is. I really think this is an Anunnaki installation from back in the days, really, and it looks so spacey a little bit. Strange one. And Hieronymus Bosch also shows this, I really think. Watch my Arecibo video, I will say a lot more stuff there to this one. Very interesting one. And this is so strange. This is so strange. Like I said in my Arecibo video, um, people that know a little bit about the Bosnian pyramid stuff. There are experts that surveyed the surrounding landscapes from the Bosnian pyramids, and this is so strange. You really have artificial, big time landscaping around the Bosnian pyramids. Really, you have to look it up, look some videos for the Bosnian pyramids. I don't know if you can find it, if you type in this unnatural landscaping, artificial landscaping, at the Boston Pyramid. But for sure, there are riverbeds that are fully complete. A river for miles. Everything of the stones in the riverbed, everything is artificial. Big time artificial landscaping. And I really see this on the island of Puerto Rico. They say this is natural. And you have straight lines, you have straight corners, and this is just natural. Just natural stuff on the island. Just all is natural, but straight line channels and everything. And this is this famous step. You know, when I remember it correct, they say this is a natural waterfall. And if you really take a look, these are big stones, and they say these are natural cracks, the straight natural cracks and stuff. If I remember it correctly, very strange. It's artificial landscaping, big time, really big time landscaping. And this is this landscaping from Arecibo, and I start, to wonder at the moment, if you see this picture, and if Ezekiel maybe really was taken to this place, um, I think it maybe should could be his mind or why he explains this. It looks like a human a little bit. Well, this is the belly, these are the arms, these are the legs, and maybe here's the head. If you are a primitive person, you're a really primitive person, just not to say stupid, but fully primitive. And you fly over and you sit in the angel of God and you fly around and this thing starts to lower after it was really high up and stuff. Um, if you come to this and you see it from up above, maybe you see a big person like this. It looks like a person. It must be a person if it's scaled like this. There's a giant on the ground. Maybe like this. It's strange because it has a little bit like a shape of being. Strangely, I never thought about this. It could be maybe if you see it from up above, it could be a person there. God. That's why he told it's at the throne of God. And I have also the theory for the throne of God. If you see this, I will show it. If you see the atomic um, on Puerto Rico, there's a famous atomic research center. And if you see the pictures of the big block of this reactor, um, I don't know. I thought about it yesterday. This could be maybe the throne of God that he did so. Big block, big machine, a reactor, and there are ladders to climb up and stuff. Maybe he thought this big metal thing could only be the throne of God, and I show you this one. I really think this research center could maybe be the throne of God even, it's so funny. In the old pictures they show them, and it's so strange if you put in sometimes 10 years later, if you put in the same search requests, you get totally different results. There's nothing like before. And it's really like I have the picture, I have to look which picture it is, this big block, this one. Is this the throne of God? You know, if you see this and you walk here and you are a primitive one, you could maybe think if someone is standing here, maybe the last Anunnaki on Earth that did stand in his atomic research center because they need maybe this atomic radiation to exist. He did a stronghold over there like this. And if the people come and they see this, maybe there was no person at all, maybe there was a holograph or stuff. Sometimes I think it was maybe like a holograph, like the Star Wars shows when Princess Leia, when they found the Roboter and Princess Leia's holograph tells the story. Please help me. Maybe this is just a little bit knowledge drop. Maybe they found something there, put a button, and then the holograph was shown. But I think this is possibly maybe the throne of God that Ezekiel, in his primitive ways, couldn't, figure out else that this could only be the throne of God. Very strange, possibly maybe. And there's also so much artificial landscape on this island. It's strange. I really like this artificial landscaping of this place. and they go to Arecibo, And this is also a thing. In my theory, um, the research center and the Arecibo are an ensemble, they work together. And I really think these ones, you know, they were also used for the energy source of the Arecibo, of the flying object, of the flying machine. And if you put these ones on the wings of the Arecibo, you must watch my video about it. If you put this inside the wings of the Arecibo, and I can show you the wings. I think these are the wings of the Arecibo. It looks like the colibri and the Nazca lines. Really, this is the depiction of this flying object. Um, you really see the place for this metal rods, And I have to go again on my desktop. I shouldn't have closed it. Is it here? Yes, it is. Come on. I really think the real form of the Arecibo is like this. You know, you have here, this is the antenna of it, this is the bowl, and these are wings, but they already disassembled a lot from this flying machine. They try to re-engineer it, they try to figure out how it works and blah, blah, blah. And, these wings are missing now. At the moment, they disassembled all this stuff and these wings are missing. But I did find these wings. And it's so funny that they just put them on the side of the road. It's so crazy. And I have to look up this picture where I have the wings. These are the wings, and this is just the facility, and it's unlogic. If you see this part here, this bend, it would be perfect to be put on the Arecibo, and you could say, oh, this is a gate or something, but it's bolted here. This is bolted on, this is bolted on, this is bolted on. So this is never the function of a gate. It couldn't turn here and you close the road. It's bolted here. This one is bolted down, this one is bolted down, so this is fixed. And then there is no reason for the spans, There is no reason, and there's no reason to build stuff like this for road signs or for road barrier. No reason for it. So I really think these are the wings of the Arecibo, and you just put this inside the metal construction of the Arecibo, and then you would have the wings. And I really think the power source of it, there was an installation that these metal rods that I showed before, these metal rods, these metal rods, these metal rods that they have in the atomic facility there, the research center. These metal rods were put mechanically inside this place. Inside this place, and so you have energy for this machine. It has radiation energy, and I really think the home planet of the Anunnakis is highly radiating. They get used to this radiation. They absorb the radiation and they have food like this. And I really think the technique is high radiation based. And if you have this, like like atomic metal rods like they use in the atomic reactors, this rods, this what is the metal, it's like plutonium rods. If you have enough rods on this flying thing, it would have its basic energy source, this radiation source of energy. And I really think this line here would fit perfect for these metal rods, for the atomic rods they have in the research center. And I think they really use just this. There is a famous train line, and they say, "Oh, we built the train line," blah blah blah. This one, I really think with this installation, and it has the same building concept, this like Victorian steel construction stuff, and it's the most logic construction if you build with metal. It's universal logic for planetary stuff, maybe. Maybe there are some races that more build like organic, like chitin and stuff, but this is for nature, and maybe you don't take concepts really from nature because nature is holy. If you are a society of females that thinks nature is holy, you know. So they built different to the nature, but perfect nearly. And this steel construction logic is very good. We still build like this. And I also think this one is also Anunnaki, this rails, you know. And what I think, this whole construction was just made that the facility, the research center, the metal dome could recharge or whatever with this metal rods. And if the Arecibo needs a new metal rod for the machine, it was just mechanically brought to the Arecibo crater and was put on the Arecibo, you know. And they really disassembled all. They don't know anything about the technique itself. I think they have some basic ideas, but I think they falsely re-engineered all this stuff. They have the basic things they find, and they find some effects and it does something, but this is not the thing that this thing has to do. It's just an effect that is also have, but this is the effect that it's malfunctioning, like this humans reinvented. And it's strangely, it's sad, it's really sad. This is this depiction how this, the ancients that see the Ezekiel's wheel, the wheels within the wheels, and this angel and stuff, and this throne of God with the dome and stuff. This is the reactor, and this is the Arecibo, one of the Arecibos, and it's really strange. And this wheels within the wheels and the wheels. If you look from below this one, the bowl at the end of the Arecibo, this one, there is another bowl inside and another bowl inside. So you could see wheels within the wheels in the wheel. Really simple, really, really simple. And there are more things on the island of Arecibo. It's also ancient. I also think this stuff, I can't remember exactly which facility this is, but I thought, hey, there's this metal dome at, Puerto Rico, and I think, oh, this type of construction is really Anunnaki and stuff. So I did thought when I looked for in general for big telescopes on the world, big antennas, all these crazy stuff you will find. You will find so strange installations, or like the big telescopes from the 1800s and so strange stuff. And I, for example, think things like this. If you see things like this, it has the same building concept like the Puerto Rico Atomic Research Center. It has the silver, metal stuff, and so on. I really guess this telescope, I can't even remember where it is and what it is, but I think this building has the potential to have been also Anunnaki, Really, it has the potential. I don't say it is like this, and I don't say all this stuff is like this. I like to say it is like this, but I always do guess, and I have no proofs, Nobody shows me reality or nobody shows me the real facts, They don't show me this hidden stuff, I just see a lot of stuff and I have my own thoughts about it, and I think, hey, they lied to me. I could explain it like this or like this, I never saw the proof for it. And this is inside, This is inside the big bowl of the Arecibo. And here was another bowl. And in this bowl was another bowl, another big installation. And if you see it from below, there are wheels within the wheels within the wheels. And this whole room was full of technique. There was so much technique. And they always say, oh, we take this technique out. They say, we put in this technique so we can have measurements. And then we are finished with this measurements. And then we take out the technique and we put in another technique. I just think this was full of technique. Everything was full of technique. And they just figured out one part of it, they take it out. They figured out this part does this, or this shows us the effect, even if it's wrong. If we figured out truly or everything false, okay, we have figured it out, we take it out. And they really tear down the construction. They have so much parts they did take out of this bowl, they're inside this big bowl. This is very important technique, really important technique. Look it up. There are, so many installations that they already took out. They say they brought it in and then they take it out. I think they never brought it in. Crazy. They just loot the old Arecibo. They loot it all the time. And this is also like, this is the town Arecibo. It's a monolith, and I don't know. It's really like old city, maybe. And what else can we find? We can find here a little bit about this. Oh, I have to look up if I find stuff about the installations inside this big bowl. I think I didn't take out this stuff from my collection for the last video. Strange. I have to look it up. I will make videos to tell about it. I just wanted to make my first live, little bit talking live. I have to check if it's still on. Sometimes the UBS takes just, takes just the recording and just stops it from itself. Yeah, nice. I'm a little bit behind myself. Just like half a minute. Nice, yeah. Strange to see myself live. Very nice. And we have the Arecibo, the laboratories and stuff. This is laboratory entrance. It's also strange, everything over there. What else do we have? Would be interesting how long I'm on now. I think an hour or so. Um, good old Arecibo. This stuff, for example, it's also technic. This is also technic. I think this was on the ground and they looted this. Now they tell us, oh, we put it on there and stuff. I really think the Arecibo has a counterpart on the ground. And it's really like I said in the last video about Arecibo's a hoax. I think, for example, if you think a little bit logic, if you have this the flying thing and you have the same object on the ground, this could be like two magnets with the same polarity, and you would have a little force that would make the flying thing hover. If you have like two magnets with the same polarity, they hover. And I think they had the same concept. They built the same structure twice. One is put on the ground, and maybe it's also like if this thing collects gold, it has the machine that is collecting the gold. And if you have the same object down there, the flying object could just, send the gold, the collected part of the gold, into the machine on the ground that has the same technique. And so this the object on the ground just collects like the flying collecting thing, just collects with the same technique the gold out of this other object, the flying object. Logic like this. And that's why I really think when they show these constructions, yeah, we put this up and we have here construction time, destruction time, destruction time. They take down the second one because they think it's unuseful that they have the second installation on the ground. They couldn't figure out how it's working, so they think, we can use it. We can build our own Arecibo flying thing. And I really think this is how they come up with the TR5 or something like this. If you have this, the pyramid shaped flying things from the USA, think about it. What is this construction thing from the Arecibo? What is it? It's just a big triangle. Is it? Oh, there's a triangle. Hmm. How did we come up with all the technique? And I think it's getting a little bit dangerous at the moment because now I come into this place where we talk about, national security and stuff. And I just had the idea and I don't talk on about it. So it's very interesting what all these techniques are. Stretchy, this could really be. Wow. This is wow. This is no, I never thought about this, but it could be. There are so many nice things here in the world, and I'm a little bit in danger right now, I think. Oh man, I have to take down this video, I hope. Maybe, but I take it down later. Dang it, this would be this is top secret. Dang it. No, I don't talk anymore. People, I have to take my video. Maybe I take off and better delete this video. Have a nice evening, y'all. Maybe we see once really live. Maybe the algorithms will be, generous to me and put me on a good place and, give this video to other people. I don't know what I talked about. Dang it. Oh, oh. See you all. Oh, let us stop, you know. Okay. Strange, strange. See you.